Hey guys, this is kanolifez here, and today I will be reviewing the Year 2 Sem 2 modules that I've done in my Business Analytics course. Okay, so let's just get right started. Okay, so first of the modules that I had, okay, which were 6 modules plus one from my summer semester. Okay, the first module that I had was Python for Data Analytics for ANL 252. Okay, so as the title has just said for itself, okay, we are actually using Python for data analytics. Yes, so what do we do for Python for data analytics in this case? Yes, data analytics, we just need to analyze the data mainly from the table that is mainly shown in Excel. And then from there, how do we then extract the data and the numbers from each of these tables, whether it be rows, columns, or mainly just the numbers that are being shown there, or in terms of text, it's for its text itself, for the types of categories for each of these columns wise. Okay, what are we supposed to do about them, and how do we then clean the data? Okay, so you also can do things like coding, programming, yes, via Python. Okay, so for me, I find it personally interesting for coding wise, as you know, I'm actually quite in a way tech savvy lah, in terms of programming wise. I enjoy programming. However, there is this one thing, okay? If you have studied on ICT 133, okay, like structured programming, based on what I said on the last tier video, okay, I enjoy ICT 133, but for in terms of the content that is learned in ICT 133, there may be a difference between ICT 133 and ANL 252. If you refer to SUSS 5 in terms of 252, you get to learn about the different types of visualizations that you can display, such as your bar charts, your pie charts, your any types of graphs or visualizations that you want to show with data via storytelling. Yes, that's the only difference for ICT 133 and ANL 252. The similarities are quite a lot, okay, such as you actually get to learn about your condition statements, your if, if, else, your loops, for loops, while loops, and then mainly your functions, your libraries, and pretty much a lot of things that are actually quite similar to one another for both of these modules. So to be honest, I felt that I was slightly bored of the module just because they are reteaching the same content wise. If you have gone through ICT 133 lah. So for a reference wise, ANL 252's content for SU1 is similar to the content learned in ICT 133's SU1 to 3. If I remember correctly, ANL 252's SU2 was within SU4 and 5 of ICT 133, but I could be wrong. Okay, so generally the content is quite repeated lah, so I found it bored after a while. However, I felt that it is a good recap for me to refresh my mind on how to do programming again, basically. Okay, so mainly it was a form of revision for me to mainly remember what was going on in ICT 133. Okay, so personally, I find it as it's a B tier, better than ANL 201 from what I've learned. Okay, so basically it's kind of an enhancement for what I've learned in ICT 133 and ANL 201 itself as well. Okay, so that's all I would say for ANL 252. Okay, so the next module that I will go through is ANL 307, which is predictive modeling. Now, predictive modeling, if you remember what I said for ANL 305 in terms of association and clustering, basically these modules are actually quite similar to what you learn. So mainly what you learn from ANL 303's SU5 is also about predictive modeling. You'll be learning about the decision trees in ANL 303, okay, and the classification matrix table. Yes, you also learned these in ANL 307, but also you learn the other different algorithms that you will learn for ANL 307, that some of the algorithms you learn in 305 is also being applied to 307 by the black box approach for one of the algorithms. Okay, so you actually get to learn about algorithms such as your other types of decision trees that you may not have learned in ANL303. Also things like your logistic regression, things like your ensemble models and your random forest. And actually there are a lot of other algorithms that I've not mentioned that is being gone through in ANL307. Honestly, I felt that the experience that I learned in 307 and the things that I learned also is actually similar to what I learned in ANL305. And yeah, it's actually quite a good module for me to pursue into this type of in terms of this type of jobs. Okay, and also continue to analyze data from there by using these different algorithms. Okay, and also knowing when to apply for these types of algorithms, such as whether they are being cost efficient and whatnot. Okay, and mainly being the complexity of the algorithm itself, whether it can be applied or not. Okay, so generally not really much to say, but it's quite similar to what I've previously said for ANL305. Okay, so personally for me, I would have put in S tier if the prof was good. Not to say that the prof was very bad or whatnot, but it's the same prof that I had for ANL312, which I placed it in the C tier for. Mainly I did not like the prof as much. I didn't really like the assignment that they have, being a 5,000 word ECA. Yeah, pretty much that was my feedback then. But ANL307 is different. Even though the prof is the same, the assignments are mainly just just using IBM SPSS modeler to mainly work on the assignment, and it's exam based, not ECA based. Okay, it's not a final project based lah. Okay, so ANL307 for me, okay, personally I find it quite good in terms of the knowledge that I learned from there. Is actually quite similar to ANL305, but I kind of feel there's some trade-offs in terms of like whether it be the prof and whatnot. Personally, I find it as an A tier. Okay, A tier only slightly better than Pass 105. I'll just put it here. Yeah, this is just what I feel. Slightly worse than ICT 133, mainly because ICT 133 you also get to learn ANL307 you actually get to learn a bit of the coding part in terms of predictive modeling, but ICT 133 takes the cake just for its interestingness and in terms of how you get to learn more of the basics in ICT 133 for programming wise. Otherwise, ANL307, the programming part in SU6 might be tough to understand for a first timer that has not started on programming, or even not familiar for the stuff covered in ANL252. Yeah, so that is it for ANL307. It's an A tier for me. Okay, so the next module that I'll be going through is ANL310, which is Business Analytics Applications and Issues. So mainly from what we learned from, let's say, ANL307, ANL305, ANL303, there are tons of different algorithms that we have learned so far. So ANL310 is the whole package of it. Okay, the whole package in the sense that you are then applying these modules: association, clustering, and predictive modeling. How do you then use these algorithms and specific contexts to mainly help out your business problem, mainly how to help out your businesses and stuff like that? What are you going to analyze so that it can help improve their business? Okay, that is one thing, or help to reduce crime rate in Singapore, for example. Okay, so ANL310 is the whole contextual part, and also in terms of how we are going to come up with deployable what's that called? Deployable solutions. Yes, deployable solutions. And of course, solutions need to be realistic. with the data that is present. Perhaps you're going to find characteristics, okay, characteristics that are more frequently co-occurrent or mainly being more common for each other, for these type of people to be helping to, perhaps help to reduce crime rate. That is for one example. Okay, so for ANL310, honestly, okay, see this as tier. Okay, I'm moving bus 107. I'm moving 305. Yeah, I'm moving 303 as well. Yep. Simply, 310 is the best module that I've ever encountered in SUSS. Okay, hands down. Okay, if you ask me whether it's better than 303, honestly, I was generally say it's the same level. But if you're talking about the slight edge in terms of whether it be prof or whatnot, yeah, best prof as well. That is also one of the things that I would say hands down that I learned from lah. Okay, so the prof that I had mainly shared quite a bit of experiences that she has went through, whether it be industrial experiences or in terms of mainly about her life lah, which is actually applicable, unlike Fin 203's prof that I had. Is literally just night and day, yeah, about that kind of comparison for me. So ANL310 is the lessons are also quite interesting as well from the things that we have learned. Okay, so mainly just think about it this way. ANL310 is just a combination of your whatever you have learned for ANL mods, 303, 305 and 307. Maybe not much about 305, but 307 still quite applicable. 305's association and clustering from your 303 as well, still quite applicable as well. Yeah, that's pretty much for 310. But one thing to take note, all of the modules, your 252, 307, or even any of the ANL mods that you have learned, 310's marking scheme or marking rubrics is the strictest of the other ANL mods. That's what I would say. 310, I didn't get a very high grade for 310 as compared to the rest of the modules lah. Even that I tried my best too lah. Okay, so I guess that is one takeaway in terms of when comparing to the other modules, this is the hardest to get the best grades for. Okay, so I would say to be familiarized with your 303, 305 and 307 concepts and fundamentals so that you are able to understand and also apply to the context so that you can mainly help your businesses then, and basically just make your marker give more marks to you. Okay, mainly just for that. Okay, so 310, just note for its strict marking. Okay, otherwise, simply other than marking schemes wise, but actually it's just overall lah. Okay, overall I just find 310 as good as 303. It's in the S tier, 100%. Okay, so speaking about S tiers, 310, 303, 305 and whatnot, we have our next module, ANL 317, which is known as business forecasting. So what is business forecasting, you might wonder? So forecasting actually comes from the word of just forecast, weather forecast. So you're actually predicting based on the time series events that occur. Like for example, based on the different timings that you have, 7 AM to 12 PM, what would be the weather like in the next few days in terms of the same time frame of 7 AM to 12 PM. So you're then going to analyze based on the weathers for the past few days, and then just basically going to be moving the data points here and there to basically find out the forecasted weather for maybe for the next few days and stuff like that. Or you're going to predict okay, not say it's predict, because forecasting would be a better term in terms of time related events. technically there's one misconception that I mentioned there to take note lah. Basically, when you go in for 317, there was another example for forecasting about your sales numbers. Okay, how much revenue you're going to earn for each of the days moving forward. Okay, based on your own business. Okay, so NIE301, if I'm being honest here, is quite different from any other modules that you learn, such as your 303, 305, 307, 310 and stuff. Okay, this one is mainly done in coding. Okay, R coding, R programming. Okay, so it's similar to NIE312. As much as, okay, I like coding, okay, I will preface this first. Okay, I'm going to show you where the tier would be, and yeah, it's literally the worst module ever. Oh man. Yeah, okay, this module is quite no, this sem is quite special. You have one of the best modules ever, if not the best, and you have one of the worst modules ever, and that is called NIE317. Okay, let me explain. You have your TMA, which is your individual assignment, whatever, is a quiz that you will have. Okay, expected to complete a coding assignment within 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, coding assignment. You are then tasked to do a certain set of questions that you're supposed to do within 1 hour, and it's by coding. Number one, that the prof didn't actually go through pretty much a lot about the coding aspects of it, so that, okay, when we did our code for this assignment, right, for the 45 minutes to 1 hour quiz, right, okay, we had a lot of errors. We literally had a lot of errors popped up in our code, that our code didn't work at all, and we could not even like process the code and also the numbers that we are supposed to, you know, display. So that was one of the big issues. And in terms of people who are not really that familiarized with coding wise, right, this is going to be a hell mod for pretty much anyone, okay, who even goes into 317. Okay, R programming. Now, that's only one thing, individual assignment. Okay, second thing, oh my god, the prof. Simply said, right, okay, he talks like as if it's sort of a lullaby, like a lullaby that anyone can easily sleep. Okay, like probably no one pays attention to it. Probably me and only a few other people are answering to his questions, mainly because, you know, just want some participation, or maybe just engage in his class. Like, you know, it is just, honestly, it's just a bit sad. But honestly, I don't blame anyone, because like I don't blame my friends as well for not replying. But man, his classes were really that boring for actually no one to engage with him and stuff like that. Okay, the prof is just a very boring person. Okay, to even like start the lesson or even like go through his lessons with. Like, there's not only is he quite boring into talking about his lessons, no one understands anything from what he has said during his lessons. Okay, what I mean by no one understands anything. Now, 4-time series, right, okay, you get to learn about the different symbols, such as your phi, your theta. There's a lot of different types of symbols. Like, it's just very foreign for people to remember based on like whether it be, okay, I will mainly just say in terms of the terms that you learn. Okay, so you have your ARIMA model, which is your autoregressive integrated moving average model, and then there's your autoregressive portion, there's your moving average portion, to mainly forecast your different time series for future related time series events. So for your AR and MA component, that's what I'll call it, both of them have literally different symbols that you need to learn, such as your theta, your phi, for mu. Literally, there's a lot of things that honestly I forget, and I feel that it's not as applicable unless you're going to this kind of job where you're actually forecasting for future time related events in your job. Only if it's in your job. Okay? Otherwise, honestly, I will just be using simple moving average, exponential smoothing for mainly your time series forecasting. Okay? Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be using ARMA or seasonal ARIMA models. Okay, I mean, probably seasonal ARIMA model is the only one that I feel is applicable. Otherwise, not for me. I don't feel it's applicable at all. And yeah, a lot of people are suffering for this. Last thing, okay, slides. Oh god, the slides, they're horrible. You can imagine, okay, because the slides from the other modules, right, okay, are in PDF form, okay? Slides in PDF form are not an issue for mainly most of the A&R mods. So 303, 305, 307, 310, mainly all use PDF, okay? 252, 201, they all use PDF to mainly show the slides. This prof, 317, they mainly show in PowerPoint slides, okay? PowerPoint slides, okay, may seem that it's not an issue. But okay, in terms of the slides itself, right, okay, because there is a thing called transitions in PowerPoint slides, Ben decided to plug all the information or most of the information into one of the slides that was there, and when you're not in presentation mode, you get to see 8 different types of chunked text overlaying one another, and you cannot even see most of the text that are there unless you're in unless you are in presentation mode, which I cannot. Why can't the man just at least put it in PDF form, and also layer the different types of transition to the PDF itself instead of chunking it all into one, just like one slide. I just don't get it. Okay, even people are mad about this problem. Okay, that is one thing. Oh, I keep forgetting. There's actually one last part, the fourth part. Okay, the exam itself. Okay, I am not mad that the exam actually encompasses part of what we have learned for SU1 to 6. Okay, but there's a high failure rate previously that also uses a different programming system and also different result system, mainly because the paper actually shows you the results and you're going to then analyze from there. What are you supposed to how are you supposed to tell about the output? What is the output showing? Okay, the output results that they show is mainly different from what is shown for this year. Okay, not only that, for the semester's paper that I took, okay, was different from the previous semester's one. Not only that, the questions, the coverage for the questions is very, very different from last year. And from the high failure rates from these previous syllabus for 317, right? Okay, they look into this semester's paper and be like, what's going on? Why are there statistics? Why are we expected to also talk about descriptive statistics about the different graphs that are being produced that we all don't learn in SAS, which is the previous programming system? Okay, coverage is different from 2 questions from the previous years to 5 questions. 5. Okay, 5 questions. That shows how much of a change it took. And I really feel bad for the retakes taking this current syllabus paper. Holy shit. Okay, holy shit. It's just a hellhole of a module lah, to be honest. And yeah, it's literally a D tier, one of the worst, if not the worst module in SUSS that I took. Okay, as much as I like ANL, analytics modules alone, 317 cannot be avoided so far that I experienced in itself. Okay, generally I would say all the best for people taking 317. Part-timers especially, full-timers, I will help as much as I can. If you ask. Yes, for 317. Yeah, it's a lot of things to think of for 317. It's very confusing symbols, it's boring prof, its exams are rigged, its slides are very rigged. Oh god. It's a real headache to trying to understand ANL 317, which is very distinct from the other ANL ones. Yeah? Okay. That's all I'll explain for 317. Okay. Enough ranting for 317. Excuse. Now I'll go on to NCO 102, which is about your effective writing. Honestly, nothing much to talk about effective writing. It's just mainly about your argumentative writing or your general paper writing that I've learned in JC or whether it be secondary schools. Basically, you just write about whether you agree or disagree for a certain POV, or whether you, let's say, you're writing a personal recount. Okay, write a personal recount or email. Okay, informal email, formal email, whatever, so not, but it's actually more to the formal part lah. Okay, formal part that I talked about, the argumentative essay. Okay, so for NCO 102, in terms of how they analyzed the essays, right, for a person that did not touch GPT at all and still got GPT verified for my essay, apparently yeah, they detected AI for something that I've literally typed without AI on my keyboard. That is so rigged. That is very rigged for this module to just AI detect me like that, but I didn't even use a single touch of AI for this NCO 102 module. Honestly, quite rigged. Okay. Not only that, it's boring anyways for this module. So honestly, for me, it's not the worst module, definitely, for sure, unlike these two. Sadly. I find it, let's see. Okay. It's actually a C tier for me. Wait, yeah, I find it better than 312. Okay, NCO 102, not for me, but actually not that bad compared to your Finto 3, 317, 111, and 312 as well. 102 is quite a fast module. You just need to complete 2 individual assignments. That's probably one of the only NCOs. Okay, one of the only NCOs with only individual assignments. Okay, the rest of the NCOs are mostly just group-based and TMA, like both individual and group-based assignments. Okay, later I'll also talk about NCO 112, which is also the same as 102. You also get to type down 2 individual assignments. Okay, so 102, 102 is honestly not for me. I'm not an English-based person to, just look into grammatical errors. As much as possible, I look into the essay. If I spot any obvious errors, I'll just check it from there. But otherwise, I don't find it quite applicable at all in terms of what I'll be doing in my job. But I mean, otherwise, other than having good English lah and whatnot, which is pretty much marked for every single essay in terms of the language used. Okay, so personally, 102, you just get to learn about your citations, in-text citations, your references as well, which I other than that, I guess there's really nothing much to talk about, honestly. Yeah, I'm just mainly stuff that you have learned beforehand lah, whether it be poly lah, whether it just be from other modules that you need to input your in-text citations and references. Okay, even this 102 is much of a better preface from what we have learned from 312's SU1, which is references and in-text citation for 2.5 hours, which I still don't get why it's a thing for 312. Okay, being a year 2 module lah. Okay, so that's pretty much it for MCO 102, being in C tier. Okay, now next, which is NIE301, which is going to be learning with communities. So this one is actually a compulsory module, NCO module, mainly for community engagement lah. Okay, so for 301, okay, similar to 351, you have specific different themes that you need to work on, and I've actually worked on environmental conservation lah. And honestly, NIE301 is not as bad of a module as most may deem, but it's also not as good. Personal reason why, because this being an NIE mod, right? Okay, and NIE201 is exists. Okay, remember about interdisciplinary, you're just basically just merging different types of communities or topics together to mainly help a certain problem. Yeah, it's not as much different as what we learned in 201 lah. Okay, there's pretty much not a lot of difference for 201 and 301 itself. We are expected to merge the different topics together, but for mine, I was expected to learn about environmental conservation with seniors, mainly seniors of a certain type of need lah, that they'll need help in lah. So that was basically one. But why will you associate environmental conservation with the elderly in the first place? When also the first thing they don't really touch much about the environment or even like plants or conserving the environment. Like, why would you want to educate about that? Yeah, that's one thing. I get if you're trying to educate youths, but not to the elderly. Or if you want more information, you can just PM me and I can talk more about it. But I just find things quite weird to associate the different topics together. So thus the interdisciplinary part. Oh my god, the pronunciation. It's just quite weird for me to even like start off with the project and like just, you know, even going through with the processes of trying to integrate seniors of a certain need and also environmental conservation together. Okay, now this I will put it right beside NIE201 because honestly it's not as bad as I think it will be. Okay, if you were to ask me, I personally like community engagement, but the projects for the specific team, I find it quite weird. Okay, I just don't understand how it's being done, other than just explaining it to be interdisciplinary. Okay, so NIE301 sits right beside 201. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't swap. 201 I felt is slightly better than 301 still. 201 still had the fundamentals to learn from. 301, I do not know where the combination even starts off from. Okay, now lastly, I'll get to learn about the NCO 112, which is peak performance. Okay, which is a module that I took in the summer semester. Okay, 2.5 CU module lah. Okay, so this one is mainly a sequel from your NCO 111, which is living and learning in the what world again? I kind of forgot about the module name lah, but it's a sequel from this 111. Then you can take either 112 or NCO 113, which is something about groups. Kind of forgot about that. But for NCO 112 peak performance, right? You have 2 individual assignments, as I mentioned earlier. Mainly 2 of them being 50% each, that you're supposed to type about a personal reflection about a certain video, or mainly things that you have learned before. Okay, things that you have learned before, and you're supposed to produce a TikTok similar to TikTok video. They are supposed to talk about what you have learned about this module and how you're supposed to solve the problem that is mainly shown in the question paper. Okay, so honestly, 112 just, you know, it's a bit boring module, not gonna lie, but I generally guess, okay, it also helps, you know, students to cope with different types of strategies in their, whether it be schoolwork or just working time outside. I guess that's the only saving grace for this module. I mean, it's just kind of stale kind of module to learn. Like, hey, drink more water, hydrate yourself, have at least 8 hours of rest. Talk to your friend if you actually need help and whatnot. Honestly, it is a reminder for people that people around you to mainly help you succeed your goals and whatnot, and also remind you that there are actually ways for you to succeed peak performance and whatnot. But I don't know, some of them seems common sense, some of them seems new knowledge to me. So I kind of find it as a half-edged sword, but still, just really not that engaging of a module in that sense. It's just gonna show you like the different types of things that you learn, whether how you can overcome this negative stress problem. There's also another thing you learn in peak performance, and what is the difference between your negative stress and your positive stress, and then how do you overcome your negative stress portion of it. Okay, so when you overcome your negative stress problems, you can attain peak performance. That's all I remember from this module. So honestly, it's a half-edged sword, but still kind of boring module that I know of lah. Okay, so if you are to ask me, it's definitely better than 111 than what we learn, cause SU 111 is a lot of historical figures that we learn out of literally freaking ancient ages. Yeah. So if you ask me about this module, half-edged sword, honestly, I will put it in the C tier. Yeah, as you can see, the C tier is quite of a caterpillar now. Yeah. Honestly, how good of a C tier this is? Let's see. It's better than 312, better than 102, 101, 211. Definitely better than past 100. And, okay, I'll say it. It's better than 201. I'll put it right here. Okay, just because I'll generally say it's a good reminder to keep our well-being, whether it be mentally or in terms of health or wealth. It may be good, just as a reminder for people who have been on survival mode to keep on working and, you know, and schooling and stuff. But I mean, it's just sometimes a bit of a common sense, yet boring, and you know, it's just a good module for them to have, but it's a waste time module. That's all I can say as someone that, you know, knows some of these stuff already. But I would generally say it's good to learn lah. Okay, if you want to learn more about it, then just go for this module for its 2 individual assignments. Otherwise, it's honestly a waste time module. Yeah, that's pretty much it for NCO 112 lah. Okay, so generally these are the modules that I went through from year 1 to year 2 itself. Okay, so as you can see, for the different modules, the recap mainly, okay, went through ANL252 is in the B tier. Then the A tier has the ANL307. ANL310 is in the S tier, being the best, okay, one of the best, if not the best module from what I've learned in SUSS. ANL317, then you have NCO 102 and 112, and also 301 being in the C tier. Okay, a lot of C tiers for this sem, and you kind of know why. It's a lot of the NCOs, it's not that good. NCOs and NIE's modules are a lot of waste timers lah. Okay, but honestly, 112, if I were to compare to other NCOs, right? Yeah, it's actually one of the better ones already. Even they're literally giving like good strategies for people to learn how to cope with life and stuff. So I guess it's a good thing, I guess. But generally, NCOs and NIEs are not really that knowledgeable stuff and applicable stuff we can also learn also. Thus, 112 being one of the more applicable stuff that you can learn and cope with life. Okay, it's one of the better NCOs lah. Okay, as compared to the rest. Okay, so yeah, that's generally it for what are my feelings for the modules in terms of year 1 to year 2. Okay, so this is the overall summary already. Okay, so mainly for the future, okay, I'll be taking the ICT and data science modules. So mainly the logos will be pink, and then I'll just fill them up based on semester by semester then. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it for the video. Okay, thank you all for joining and watching the video. Please leave a like, subscribe, and also share the video outside to people that are also in BA as well, to know more about the experiences learned from the different modules. Okay, so I hope to see you all next time for my next video. Okay, hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.